about Newton's laws of motion, momentum, and impulse. Okay, by the end of today's class, you should be able to state the laws of motion, Newton's laws of motion rather. Then you should be able to define momentum and also impulse. Let's start with first law of Newton. What does it say? The first law states that a body will continue to be in its state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless it is being acted by an external force. Okay, that's the first law of motion. It means that if I'm to keep a body here, maybe like say a bucket of water here, it is expected that if I come even next week, I should meet the cup of the bucket of water here. Okay, unless if somebody carries the bucket of water should be here, it should be in the state of rest. Okay, now if a car is moving in a uniform motion on a straight line, it will continue moving in a straight line unless maybe possibly an external agent is what applied. Okay, either a brake. Okay, now the second law states that that the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force, and it takes place in the direction of the force. Mathematically, it means that okay, let me do it this way. The rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force. Okay, and it takes place in the direction of the force. All right. Now, if we break down this, we have V into this. If we factor out M, we'll have this directly proportional to F. Okay, this is the same thing as acceleration. V minus U over T is acceleration. So we have M A is directly proportional to F. So let's swap it. We have F is directly proportional to MA. Okay. Now you know in mathematics, if you remove the sign of proportionality, you introduce a constant. So we introduce a constant K, and then we have F equal to KMA. If K is equal to 1, if K is equal to 1, so we have F will then be equal to what? MA. This is second law of motion. All right, the third law of motion. The third law of motion is simply the third law: action, reaction. This is the third law. It states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. For every action, there is an equal and what? Opposite reaction. This is the third law of motion. Okay? Now, we want to talk quickly on momentum. What is momentum? What is momentum? Momentum is usually denoted with a symbol rho. Okay, you can call it P. Okay, momentum is simply the product of mass and velocity. That's we have this is equal to what? Mass and what? Velocity. And the unit is simply kilogram meter per second. If you are confused, we know that mass is in kilogram, velocity is in meter per second. So this is the unit for what? Momentum. Okay, now impulse. What is impulse? Impulse is simply the product of force and time. The product of force and time. Okay, so from what we derived earlier, we have Ft is equal to what? Mv minus U. This all together is what we call impulse. Okay, so it means that you can define impulse as the rate of change in momentum. This is rate of change of a momentum, mv minus mv. Remember that momentum is the same thing as mass times what? Velocity. So if we open the bracket, we have mv minus mu, which is mass times the change in what? In momentum. Okay, this all together gives us momentum. This also is impulse. So the product of force and time is impulse. The rate in change in momentum is also what? Defined is called what? Impulse. Okay, now before we solve problem on this, let's quickly run through the laws of motion. I said that the first law of motion is simply what? That a body will continue to be in a state of rest or in a straight line, on a straight line uniform motion, unless it is being acted by a force. Then the second law states that what? The rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied. And lastly, the third law states that what? For every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. Okay, now before I continue, I would like to remind us that the first law is also known as inertia. Okay, yeah, for a body, the reluctancy for a body to continue moving when it is, when to start moving when it is at rest, or to start to stop moving when it is in motion, is called inertia. Is called inertia, and that is why the first law of motion is also called the law of inertia. Okay, what it means is that when a body will continue to be in a state of rest unless an external force is acted upon it. So now let's look at this example. We're just going to be solving an example. A body of mass. Let's bring out the parameters. A body of mass 2 kg. We have mass to be 2 kg. Moving vertically upward has its velocity increased uniformly from 10 meters per second to 40 meters per second. So it means that we have given two velocity here, initial and final. Okay, by now you know that u is used to represent initial velocity. So we have u to be 10 meters per second, and then we have v to be what? 40 meters per second. Neglecting air resistance, calculate the upward vertical force acting on the body. So we are looking for F. So from the formula we derived, the second law of motion, F is directly proportional to mv minus mu over t. This is the same thing as this. mv minus u all over t. Okay? So if we have this, let's assume k is 1. We have m v minus u. We are looking for f. We are looking for f. I forgot to mention time. Time is given in 4 seconds. So if you put our parameters into what we have here, we have f times 4 is equal to, mass is 2 into what? 40 minus 10. Is that okay? So let me quickly wipe it up past. So we have f times 4 to give us what? 4f is equal to what? 2 into 30. So we have 4f is equal to 2 times 30, we have 60. F is equal to 60 over 4. 60 over 4 will give us 50. 15 rather. What's the unit for force? Force is measured in Newton. It is important you state the Newton for every problem you solve. So now let's find the impulse of this problem. So if you want to find the impulse, you simply use impulse, I. Impulse is denoted with letter I. F is equal to Ft. If you use this formula, you are correct. If you use I is equal to what? Mv minus u, you are also correct. You are also correct. Either ways, we'll get the same answer. So let me use the first one. I is equal to, what is my force now? We have gotten force to be 15. 15 times time, which is 4. 15 times 4 will give me what? 60. 60 Newton second. 60 Newton second. Force is in Newton, time is in second. So the unit for impulse is Newton second. The unit for momentum, remember the momentum is the product of mass and velocity. So the unit is what? Mass is in kilogram and velocity is in meter per second. So this is the unit of momentum, kilogram meter per second. I hope you enjoyed today's class. I'm still Bukola Joseph. Thank you for listening.